it's Mo. Welcome to my April readathon recap. So my readathon recaps are little videos that I do just recapping the readathons that I participated in the previous month. They usually come after my vlog style reading wrap-ups, where I might mention the readathons, but I might not. And I never mention like what prompts fit what books and things like that. So I've been doing these readathon recaps to help me remember these things, to have a record of it. Another reason that I do readathon recaps is to make a huge running list of readathons that happen throughout the years, what months they fall in, who organizes them, and what they're about. That way, at the end of this year, 2023, when I've completed this year's list, there might be new readathons that come next year, but at least I'll have something to look back on so that I can decide what readathons I want to participate in. There are so many amazing readathons out there, and sometimes you want to participate in all of them, but you can't possibly. And that's actually something I want to talk to you about in a few minutes. But first, let's go over some of the readathons that I found out about this month. I forgot to mention that April was Picture This, which was started by Shelley Swearington and Spread Book Joy, and this was a month to read picture books. So I have never actually participated in Picture This, but it's something that I've always wanted to. Unfortunately, I forgot again this year, but again, that's why I'm making these videos, so hopefully I will remember next April. April was also People April, which was a time to read books about people, so like biographies, memoirs. It didn't have to be like a historical figure. It could just be a person's memoir. It could be an autobiography, it could be a biography, and anything to do with people and how people live and the experiences they've had. I believe that one of the hosts this year was scallydandling about the books, but I'm not sure who the other hosts were. Old School April was in April, and that was about reading nostalgic reads from the 80s and 90s, focusing on horror. It also had a lot of other aspects like movies and other nostalgic things, nostalgic toys, and the person that I heard about this from was Alex at the Bookubus. I'm not sure if she was just a host or one of the creators. Another readathon that I've recently heard about but I actually know nothing about, I just bookmarked a video like with the basics of it, so I will share that in the link below, is the Magical Readathon. This is one that happens every year, but I'm not sure if it's a once a year readathon or a ongoing readathon, but a lot of the people that I subscribe to have been talking about it, so it must be happening now. And I think the Magical Readathon is a big overarching readathon that has to do with a magical place. This particular round has to do with a academy within that place that is for learning magic. It sounds like very complicated. You like make a character, I think, and you print things out, and lots of other stuff that goes along with this readathon besides just fulfilling the prompts and reading the books. But if you are into those big sweeping readathons, I think this is probably a really exciting one. I definitely plan on watching that video so I can learn more about it. May is also Asian Heritage Month, and so it is the Asian Readathon, and this is about Asian authors and Pacific Island authors. This is one that I definitely plan on participating in during the month of May. It's also Jewish Heritage Month, and I've seen quite a few people doing Jewish readathons and reading works by Jewish authors as well. It's actually May the 4th as I'm filming this, and May the 4th Read With You is a readathon, I think, put on by Break Even Books, and it is the entire month of May to read Star Wars-centric books. Those are the readathons that I've learned about recently. There are always many more. Please feel free to leave any that I haven't mentioned in the comments below. You can find the running list of all the readathons in the description box below. Not every entry in the list has the creator or a video that goes along with it, so my suggestion for the list is to take the name of the readathon, put it in your YouTube search window, and search that readathon by date so you can see the most recent dates, the most recent people who have been making videos about it, and trace it back that way. Where I have a video on it or where I know the creator for sure, I have listed them down below. On to my April reading. The thing that I mentioned earlier that I wanted to talk about, which I noticed in April, was trying to hit so many readathons. This happened to me in March as well, that I didn't read very much for any readathon, and I didn't have a reading month that felt very fluid and natural and easy. So I did get into a little bit of a slump in April. Not a terrible one. I still read 11 books in the month, but I think it was partly because every book I picked up, I was like, oh, but this doesn't fit into this readathon, or should I be reading more books for this readathon, or should I be trying to fit this one in, or should I not be reading these books because they don't fit into any readathon. I was struggling with that in March, and I was struggling in April. So in May, I have decided that I'm just going to participate in 2 readathons, even though there's a million good readathons if my reading happens to fall into a couple of other ones, but I'm mostly just going to mood read for May. In April, the readathons that I participated in, and I participate in every month for 2023, were the TBR Spin put on by Freshly Read Books and the Book Bully, and for this reading challenge, I read Woman Hollering Creek by Sandra Cisneros. I vlog all my TBR Spin books, so you can see a vlog of this out already. And then the other year-long reading challenge that I'm participating in is Savidge Reads, and the prompt for April was to read a book set in your favorite city. So I am also vlogging these books, and I'm doing a couple of books each vlog, and I read 2 books set in New Orleans, in Louisiana, in the USA, and you can see more of my thoughts on these in that vlog when it comes out, but also in my April reading wrap-up. The other 3 readathons that I participated in this month: NYRB April. I love NYRB publisher and I love their books, so I was able to read 2 books for NYRB April. My favorite book of the month was Peking Story: The Last Days of Old China by David Kidd, and this is a non-fiction memoir about David's kid time in China at the fall of the old regime and the rise of communism. And then I was also able to read The Interior Landscape: Classical Tamil Love Poems by A.K. Ramnujan. This is the first NYRB Poets that I've ever read, so I was super excited to read this one, and I can't wait to read more from this imprint because it was so well thought out and well laid out and fun to read. I also read The Interior Landscape for National Poetry Month. I've been trying to read a lot more poetry in 2023. I was excited to be in April and read a bunch of poetry. I did not read a bunch of poetry. Like I mentioned earlier, I think I was trying to read too many things, so I was only able to read this 1 volume of poetry, but hey, one's better than none. The final readathon that I participated in was Transgirl April, and this is a time to read books by and about trans people, so I was super happy to participate because that is definitely an area of my reading that is slightly lacking and I want to read more in. And I was so happy that I got to A Year Without a Name by Cyrus Grace Dunham. This was a super interesting, super short memoir about Dunham's time thinking about their gender and taking steps to transition. This was my second favorite book of the month and I really, really enjoyed it. I also read Felix Ever After, which was on my 20 books I found out about in 2020 list and written by a trans author, so I was happy to get to that one as well. A reminder, especially when we talk about trans writers, but when we talk about all writers that are focused on in different readathons or groupings of people or different kinds of books, especially though marginalized groups, like reading LGBTQIA+ books in June, or reading Black authors in Black History Month, or reading Asian authors in May. We shouldn't confine our reading of these groups just to that time. We should remember to diversify our reading, make sure our reading is diverse and well balanced all year long. So I am super excited to participate in a readathon like Transgirl April, but I'm also super excited to read more trans books throughout the year. Those were the readathons that I participated in April and how my reading fit into the prompts and ideas of those readathons. Like I said earlier, let me know if you have any readathons that I should put on my big running list. And let me know a readathon that you participated in April. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!